Welcome back, Sebastian here. Time for my preview for the 2024 Singapore Grand Prix. So second race in a back-to-back, of course the first being the Azerbaijan Grand Prix we had last weekend, and that of course won by Oscar Piastri. And our last race before our kind of 1 month fall vacation that we get, kind of an unexpected wrinkle of the way that this year's scheduling kind of worked out. But as always, starting with a look at last year's race, and this was the one race last year that was not won by that all-conquering Red Bull. Carlos Sainz came home for his first win of the year, and I guess only win of the year. Lando Norris second, and then Lewis Hamilton, a bit of a surprise trip to the podium as well for him, definitely one he wasn't expecting. This of course was the end of Verstappen's 10 race win streak, that historic record-breaking streak, breaking Sebastian Vettel's record from 2013. Russell of course had a last lap crash which allowed Lewis Hamilton to get on that podium. Liam Lawson also got his first point in F1. Very good drive from the New Zealander. Perez and Tsunoda contact as well opening lap, which led to Tsunoda's retirement. And given that Tsunoda's retired very early the last two Grand Prix, hopefully he can have a clean weekend this time out. So as always, we're at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Of course, we'll be running on the slightly shortened layout. Last year was the first year with that layout, of course, due to construction work with that floating soccer stadium, I believe it was. But the layout we'll be using this year, same as last year, 4.94 kilometers. Expected to have 62 laps on Sunday, and the race lap record is a 1:35.867, set by Lewis Hamilton, of course, last year, as that was the first year in this layout. In terms of average speed for that fastest lap, 186 kilometers an hour, which ranks 23rd out of the 24 tracks on this year's calendar. So second slowest track on the calendar, only ahead of Monaco. Very narrow, bumpy street track. Qualifying is going to be very important, as overtaking is almost impossible. Slightly easier than Monaco, but again, that's not saying much. Very high downforce and lots of slow corners as well. In terms of best spots to make an overtake, turn 1, realistically, it's not a corner that you can really follow that well through for turns 18 and 19. So turn 7 perhaps, and again, new addition this year is that we're going to have 4 DRS zones, one going down that main straight, one going into turn 7, and another going into, I believe, turn 14. In turn 14, again, that's a place that you have seen some moves in the past, so perhaps we'll see some moves there, and perhaps as well into turn 16, where without the DRS zone last year, we almost saw a couple passes, but I think perhaps that DRS zone will make life a little bit easier. And of course, you have that very technical sector 2, where you're realistically not going to see any overtaking either. Now, tires this weekend: soft C4, soft C5, medium C4, and hard C3. Same tires that we saw in Azerbaijan. For the weather this weekend, a bit unpredictable, I think. Just taking a cursory glance at the weather forecast, it looked like it's raining all 3 days, perhaps thunderstorms. But when you try to look at what the weather's doing on the race session, qualifying session, FP2 for example, it suggests that we may not have as much rain, a lot of the rain earlier in the day perhaps. So Friday, 29 degrees, 7% chance of rain for the FP2 session. FP1 will be 5:30 in the evening, FP2 9 p.m. Then moving on to Saturday, the weather for qualifying, 28 degrees and a 5% chance of precipitation. These numbers are according to Google. But FP3, 5:30 in the evening, and then qualifying 9 in the evening. Sunday, 29 degrees, so a little bit hotter than Saturday. Again, low chance of precipitation for that start time, only 5%, and the Grand Prix will be starting at 8 p.m. sharp. So I believe that's, just before finishing up with predictions for the weekend, I want to talk about best and worst qualifiers at this track. So in terms of your best qualifiers, there are a couple drivers here that have been here quite a bit. So you have Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, and Charles Leclerc. For Alonso, 90% rate of out-qualifying his teammate. Median qualifying gap is a whopping 0.734 seconds. So good luck, Lance Stroll, out-qualifying your teammate this weekend. Gasly second, 75%. median qualifying margin 0.484 seconds, and third Leclerc, again 75%, but the margin's a little bit smaller than Gasly, 0.195 seconds. Three drivers on the other end of the scale. Ocon only 20%, a bit of a surprise there. Median qualifying margin is plus 0.514 seconds. Number 2, Lance Stroll, not a surprise, again 20% as well. Margin's quite small though, only plus 0.071 seconds. And then number 3, Valtteri Bottas, 44%, plus 0.187 seconds. So with all that information and kind of just general thoughts as well, let's finish up with some predictions for this weekend's Grand Prix. I think looking at run of form the last 2 to 3 races, as well as the fact that this track has a lot of slow speed corners and the fact that qualifying is going to be very, very important, I'm actually going to go with a Charles Leclerc victory this weekend. I think the car should do very, very well around this track, and I think Leclerc, given how good he is in qualifying, I think he should be able to get pole position and convert that into a win, although that's something that we've said many, many times in the past. Number 2, I'm going to go with Lando Norris. I think he's on for a bounce back weekend after a pretty tough weekend in Azerbaijan. Still got a decent amount of points out of it, but still definitely would not have been the weekend that he would have been hoping for. Number 3, I think this is going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be between the two remaining cars that are not that are McLarens or Ferraris. So I think it's going to be between Sainz and Piastri for that last spot on the podium. I think in terms of just run of form, Piastri's been on an excellent run of form the last several months of the season, so it definitely would be a bit brash to kind of write him off with being on the podium. But I'm actually going to go with Sainz here, as he does have a pretty good track record at this circuit. One of course here last year, and even previous years when he hasn't been driving a Ferrari. I remember 2017, I believe it was, he got 4th place here in a Toro Rosso as well. That was there's definitely circumstances attached to that 4th place, but still, nonetheless, it was a very, very good weekend for Sainz, and he's definitely shown that he's been pretty good around this track. So there you go. There's my predictions for this weekend. Leclerc first, Norris second, and Sainz rounding out the podium in third. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed and you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps things out. And of course, no F2 this weekend, no F3, so again, a little bit lighter schedule for me. But that being said, if you are interested, the F1 Academy race will be happening as the support series for F1 this weekend. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.